Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today our focus is squarely on the Kansas City Chiefs, the two-time reigning champs. We're hitting their mid-season point in 2025. And we've got a good set of sources here giving us a detailed look at, where they actually stand right now. Our goal isn't just reading off their record. We really want to distill what specific adjustments, what player performances are absolutely required for them to build some momentum. Secure that division possibly and make another one of those deep runs they're known for. We're basically looking for the keys to playoff success based on this material.
Right. And the sources, they paint a picture of a pretty up and down first half. Definitely not the dominance we've maybe seen before, but a key phrase that keeps popping up is that they're still in the middle of things in the AFC, very much alive, but it feels, maybe a little fragile. The focus now is absolutely shifting. It's not just about surviving anymore. It's about winning more games, like right now, to get back into that AFC West picture firmly and lock down a playoff spot.
Okay, right. Let's unpack that then, starting with a kind of report card. What are the sources telling us about the journey they've had so far? We know the start wasn't perfect. They looked a little sluggish out of the gate. But the sources seem to agree that the team weathered the storm in those first few games. Didn't hit the panic button.
No, they absolutely held things together. And the narrative we're seeing points right to the offense finding its rhythm again. The phrase used is the offense came to life once some key players returned, whether that was a receiver or, someone on the line. But the real foundation here, the thing they're really building on right now, is Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, no surprise there. He's pretty much universally cited in these materials as the best quarterback in the league.
Exactly. And it's not just that he's good. The sources highlight that while he maybe started just okay, the really critical thing is that he has been one of the best in the last few weeks, like demonstrably better. When you actually dig into the specifics, that surge means his efficiency numbers, things like QBR, completion rate under pressure, they've spiked a lot over the last month or so. That late October, early November jump is what's making this whole thing look, salvageable. They've got that hot engine they need.
Okay, interesting. Meanwhile, the defense has been, kind of quietly impressive, maybe, playing at a higher level than some expected, even with guys rotating in and out early. And a lot of credit seems to be going to the coaching staff there.
Oh, absolutely. And it should. Defensive coordinator Steve Spagnuolo gets singled out repeatedly, called the best one in the league. The sources are just incredibly high on his ability to scheme things up, let his players fly on the field, is the quote, let them make plays. So you have these pieces, right? An elite quarterback who's hot right now and arguably the best defensive coordinator in football running that side of the ball. But, and this is the pivot point, really, for this whole deep dive, despite having Spags dialing it up, the defense still isn't consistently creating that game-changing havoc.
Yeah, that's fascinating, isn't it? How the sources immediately take that compliment about Spagnuolo and turn it into a spotlight on the team's biggest immediate need, which is improving the pass rush. And specifically, they're calling out Chris Jones, number 95, saying he needs to come alive.
Exactly. Jones has been, for years, their top defender, the main source of that interior push. But Nate Taylor at ESPN, he voices a concern that you really have to pay attention to. Jones is 31 now. And Taylor notes he hasn't been as dominant as in previous years. Still very good, don't get me wrong, but maybe not that game-wrecking force consistently.
Right. Which brings up the question, what's the actual gap here?
Yeah.
We're talking performance versus reputation, maybe. The data doesn't lie, right? What does it show?
It really doesn't, and it's pretty stark. Entering their bye week, the Chiefs had logged pretty low defensive production numbers, just 20 sacks, and only 9 takeaways combined. Now, when you put that in context, that kind of production, it's firmly in the bottom third of the teams we'd normally consider Super Bowl contenders at this point.
Wow, 20 sacks and 9 takeaways combined. That's jarring, especially for a Spagnuolo defense known for creating those big moments in January.
Yep.
You'd expect historically title contenders need to be tracking towards, 30, 35 sacks? Maybe 15 takeaways by now. That's a huge gap.
It is a massive performance gap. It suggests that while the defense is structurally sound, well coached, they just aren't disrupting opposing offenses enough. And the sources, they really attribute that lack of pressure almost entirely to that slight dip we're seeing in Jones's elite production. Interior guys, especially guys like Jones who command double teams constantly, they often start feeling that physical toll around 30, 31. That split-second difference in get-off, maybe. It's the difference between a sack and the QB just stepping up.
Okay, so what does this mean strategically then? Especially considering they just came off their bye week And they specifically did not make a move at the trade deadline. They didn't add anyone to help that pass rush around Jones. They stood pat.
Yeah, the implications are crystal clear, and this is where you see the gamble they're making. They didn't bring in outside help. Maybe it was the cap. Maybe it's just their philosophy, trusting their guys. Who knows the exact why? But regardless, the result is that Chris Jones now pretty much has to carry the burden, as the sources put it, for lifting Steve Spagnuolo's unit.
Is it really just a gamble, though? Or could it also be seen as like a huge vote of confidence, believing that a player like Jones, even at 31, can still play at that level, and maybe believing that bringing in some potentially average guy late could actually disrupt the chemistry Spags has built? Are the sources maybe missing that risk?
That's a really fair point. It's absolutely a vote of confidence in Jones and in the system Spagnuolo runs, no doubt. But, when your defense isn't generating sacks and turnovers at a contender's pace, that confidence turns into immediate heavy pressure on your star. For this Chiefs defense to hit what the sources see as its true potential, Jones has to, quote, find a different gear to tap into.
The whole playoff picture, really, hinges on him getting back to that dominant superstar level, like right now.
That is immense pressure. You're asking a veteran who's already playing a ton of snaps and getting attention to somehow find another level
Right.
without any new significant help around him to maybe draw some of those double teams away. That's the reality of the situation they've set up. They are betting that the talent already in that building, guided by, yes, probably the best DC, can buck the trends of age and recent production numbers. And Jones isn't just a piece. He's seen as the difference maker.
Yeah.
The guy who elevates them from a team that's good enough to maybe win the division to a defense that can actually win you playoff games against top offenses.
Okay, so let's boil this down. The two crucial imperatives for the second half, the things you, the listener, should really track. First, the offense has got to keep building on what Mahomes has been doing recently. That engine needs to stay hot, take some pressure off the D.
Definitely. And second, they absolutely have to find ways to win more games by getting the defense to be more disruptive. Plain and simple. Our deep dive really hammers home how pivotal Chris Jones's performance is to that. If he can somehow elevate his play back to that superstar level again, it just changes the entire calculus for Kansas City in the AFC playoff picture. Instantly shifts them from just in the mix to legitimate threat.
So, our final thought for you, drawing right from these sources. The strategic risk here isn't just betting on Jones himself to be great again. It's betting that Spagnuolo's scheme, without maybe a dominant edge rusher opposite Jones or another high-level interior guy playing alongside him, can somehow manufacture enough pressure and force enough mistakes from offenses that know exactly where the main threat is coming from. It's a big ask.
It really is. So we'd encourage you, keep a very close eye on Chris Jones's individual performance metrics, but also track those team stats, sacks and takeaways. Those are the numbers. They're the undeniable barometer for whether the Chiefs bet is paying off in the second half. If those numbers start ticking up significantly towards contender levels in the next few weeks, you'll know Jones found that extra gear they desperately need.